Hi, everybody, and welcome back to A Man, a Van, a Plan. Well, as you know, for the last several weeks, I have been working on a custom camper van build out. For today's project, what we're going to do is take these overhead cabinets down off the wall. We're going to disassemble them, reassemble them using glue and screws. Then we're going to get all of the holes filled in, everything sanded, painted, prepped, and back up on the walls. All right, let's get to it. Okay, I've pulled these overhead cabinets down off the wall, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and mark and drill out for my lights. I've already decided where I want my lights to go. I am using a 2 1/4 inch hole saw drill bit because that is the size drill bit that I need to fit these puck lights in, and I'm simply going to drill out for them. This is a pretty easy process to drill out for cabinet lights. I'd say the most difficult part is making sure that you are dead center in the cabinets, and then also just making sure that the holes that you drill aren't going to interfere with any structural parts of the cabinets. After this, I'm going to disassemble the cabinets and head over to the table saw. The next thing I'm going to do before I glue up this cabinet permanently is I'm just going to cut myself a little dado right in here. This is where the wire for the light is going to run. So I've got the table saw set to the depth I want. I'm going to just take it and turn the table saw on, very carefully do a pass till I see the blade in the center, pull it back, move my fence a little bit, and cut a second groove. And that's it. My wire will sit right in there. Now it's time to permanently glue this one together. Good morning, everybody. We are back on cabinet work this morning. So I pulled all of the cabinets out of the van yesterday and 2 days ago, and I got them all permanently fastened together. On this long cabinet that's going over the bed and over the double bench seat, I also built myself another insert right here. I just felt like this was a little bit flimsy and it needed a little bit more support, so I went ahead and built that and put that in between. And now you can see this cabinet's solid. It's not going anywhere. Some of the other things I did was I laid out where I was going to have my under the cabinet lights, and I drilled out for those. And then I just used Drydex to fill in all my gaps. So that's what this is. This is a product called Drydex. It's a great product. I love it. It's not spackle or mud like you would use for walls. It's made for wood, and it sands up really easily, really nicely. So the plan today is to go ahead and sand out all of the cabinets and then get at least one coat of paint on everything. After I get that first coat of paint on, I'm probably going to go back, hit a couple areas with Drydex a second time, let that sit up overnight, and then put probably 2 more coats of paint on tomorrow. Then that'll be it for the cabinets, except for installing them, of course. So let's get to it. I am sanding the cabinets with 120 grit sandpaper and then going over all of the cabinets a second time with 180 grit sandpaper. I've hit everything I can with the random orbital sander. I have 120 grit sandpaper on there. I also have a 120 grit sanding sponge. This is a sponge, I don't know what else to call it, and it's great for getting into corners and getting the areas that the random orbital sander can't get. So we're just going to finish it up with a sanding sponge. Okay, this guy's all done being sanded. I like to blow off the first layer of dust with my air compressor, and then we'll hit it with some mineral spirits. As I've discussed before, you want to use mineral spirits rather than water before you paint or stain your workpieces. The reason is the mineral spirits won't sink down into the pores of the wood and cause you problems later on. Okay, this guy's ready for paint. Now we've got to do the same thing to all the other ones. I've been working pretty diligently over the last couple of days to get 2 coats of paint on all of my cabinetry. Some of it is already inside and I can't remove it, like with this closet piece and also with this second crate that I built a while ago. That's what all my electrical is going to go into. And some of it I'm able to paint outside of the van, like these pieces. So these are my cabinets for over the kitchen, over the sink, the stove, and the refrigerator. Due to the bulkheads in the van, I had to build them in 2 sections. The back of this one actually sits in a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that here, but it actually sits in, whereas this one does not. That's because I had to leave space for the bulkhead back here. So I want these to go up together. So what I'm going to do first, before I put them in, is I'm going to go ahead and melt them. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put wood glue on both sides here and here, and I'm going to make sure that they are straight and level. I'm going to clamp them, and then I'm going to screw them together, and that'll make a nice tight bond that is not going to go anywhere. The first thing I'm going to do is set these up like so. I want to make sure that I've got my glue sides up. I know that I do. So I'm going to spread plenty of glue on here. Plenty of glue on this one. And then if you have a brush or a sponge that you want to use to spread the glue out, that's fine. I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of wood. And there's plenty of glue now spread out over both sides. I'm going to let that set up for a minute or 2. So I want this glue to start to get tacky. It's been about 2 minutes. The glue's tacky. Let's go ahead and meld these 2 cabinet carcasses together. All right, when you're melding, the 2 most important sides that you want to make sure are lined up are the bottom and then the front. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I have this clamp holding the cabinet carcasses together, and I'm going to drill some pilot holes. I'm going to use some 1-inch screws so they're not going to poke through on the other side. But what I want to think about visually is I want to make this as nice as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drill not from the big one into this one, but from the small one this way. That way when you open the cabinet, you're less likely to see the screws. Okay, next is just taking some 8x1-inch screws, getting the correct bit on your drill. My my driver's out of juice, so I'm using my drill as a driver. Melding these guys together. Alright, we've got that done. Now, I used about 9 screws to meld these two cabinet carcasses together. If this were going just in a regular kitchen, I'd probably use 4. But again, because this is an RV, I overbuild. I don't ever want anything to go anywhere. I'd rather take the time, overbuild it now, so that there's never, ever, ever, ever an issue. Screws aren't that expensive, they don't cost that much. Go ahead and throw a few extra screws in so that you don't have an issue going down the road, if you catch my drift. I do have one hole here that I've got to re-drill. I don't like the way it's lining up, so I'm going to re-drill that hole and sink my last screw, and then I'm going to call a buddy over and see if he can help me hang these up. We'll be quick.
You gotta get him out of that. You gotta go to daycare here, so.
All right, you ready? These are gonna go just right up here.
Okay.
Trying to have everything all set up. Hold on to that. You got it? Even though Vince was busy with his toddler son, he graciously agreed to come over and give me a few minutes of his time. I'm really appreciative of that. Thanks a lot, Vince. The key to hanging these is to square them up off of something to make sure that they're in there straight. In this case, I used a speed square to square them up off of the closet, which I had previously installed and squared up. As you can see, it would be really tough to do this all by yourself. You really need a second pair of hands to hold the cabinets up there while you get them square. Once you have a couple of screws in, you don't need that second pair of hands anymore. You can move on and do the rest of it yourself, which is what I did. That's it. You just want help. And you make it known. I know it's kind of tough to see in this video, but there are some gaps between the top of the cabinets and the ceiling. That's because the actual roof of the van is rounded. So that's what creates those gaps. So I'm going to use some shims, and I'm going to stuff some shims in between the top of the cabinets and the ceiling. I'm going to screw through those, make sure everything is secure. I'm also going to take some smaller screws and drill through the cabinet carcasses into the carcass of the closet. And that way everything is going to be up there straight, everything's going to be up there square, and everything's going to be up there strong. All right, everybody, this is going to do it for this video. I am really excited to see how this project is coming together. I think it's looking absolutely fantastic. And when this is all done, someone is going to have a really, really nice camper van. As always, thanks for coming along. Thanks for watching. Get out there, get adventuring if you're not. Keep building, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, I got the uppers in. I'm happy with them.